Oh, hold on, fellas. All right. So what's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling this week, man? Come pile in, have fun with us. Once again, we are back with another amazing show. Got another brand new guest this week. So bringing you guys brand new guests. It's been about like 6-7 weeks straight that we've had a brand new guest on the show, man. So once again, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out here with us at the shop. Got a lot cooked up for you guys. And oh, by the way, I want to just make sure you guys are aware there's something new on the channel as well. There is a membership join button now. So if you guys do want to support the show in that way, you guys can do that. There are some perks as well. There's a badge you can get, as well as some custom emojis that I made as well. So, you know, if you want to support the show, you guys already do anyway. All you need to do is come and watch ultimately. But if you guys want to do that, that option is now available on the channel. So once again, thank you guys so much. But let's go ahead and dive into just our guests, and then we'll dive into the panel and the topic. So let's start with our guests. We got Asa from Game On Daily. I'm a big fan. All of us here on the panel are a big fan on Game On Daily. Shout out to Gaz as well. I know he's probably going to watch a little bit later on. But Asa, go ahead and let us know what's going on with you, where they can find you if the chat doesn't already know.
Oh, you can find me. Well, first of all, PTK Blam, thank you for the invitation to this podcast. I'm really happy to be here, and it's great to meet people on the panel that I haven't met before, and Pong, who I've met many times before, and everyone in chat. It's good to see you all. So yeah, I'm Asa. I'm one of the co-founders of Game On Daily, which is a website/platform that doesn't get the attention that it needs and deserves, but it's a news aggregation platform/social media thing. So hop on there with your friends, share your news, talk about things, and have a good time. You can also find me on our kind of notorious now YouTube channel, the Game On Daily channel, for our skits that are usually well received and pretty funny. And you can find me every day on Twitch. I've got a YouTube channel as well, so all over the place, spread thin.
All right. Well, I mean, we appreciate you being here. Once again, big fan of yours, big fan of Gaz's. Please, like he said, it does not get enough love. You know what to do, family. We got to go show this man some love, show him some support over there at Game On Daily. All of that information, all the links are down in the description below. So I make it real easy for you guys to go show some support to the guests here to hang out with us at the Shop Podcast. But once again, Asa, it is hella late over there as well. So I greatly appreciate you hanging out with us, man, giving us a little bit of your time, man. Thank you so much. And we're going to rock out today and have a great show. And let's go ahead and throw this over to our three amigos here, my horsemen. We're going to start with Pong Harvey. How you doing today, bro?
Doing good. First of all, PTK.
What's up?
First of all, let me get this out of the way. First of all, Asa, it is a pleasure to have you here, sir. The better half of Game On Daily. Shout out to Gaz.
Controversial. Controversial, but true.
Exactly. Shout out to Gaz. Love you, Gaz, but, you know, Ace is the better half. Anyways, awesome to be on another show with you, man. It's been a while, so I'm glad to have you. Always love your thoughts on this stuff, man. Are a well thought out person, and I love hearing it. So great to have you here. But now let's get down to business. Chat, spread the word. You can DM myself, you can DM Fuzzy, you can DM Centurion. We're taking applications for a new show host. So PTK unfortunately decided to put out a inflammatory, derogatory video this week on my most beloved franchise of Battlefield. So this is a problem, and I just don't think he's right for the show. I know this is his channel, but that seems too bad. We're gonna do a coup.
Oh my goodness, tonight. It's happening live on air. This is a million views easy. This is a million views easy. I'm getting kicked off my own show, people. This is ridiculous.
Perfect for YouTube. Perfect for YouTube. Look, anybody who's not watched this man's Battlefield video, especially if you are a Battlefield fan, shout out to Porsche Power Ains from Seasoned Gaming. He knows what I'm talking about. He was already he was on Twitter about this as well after PTK had posted. But go watch this video and please leave this man as many comments as you need to. Create other accounts if you need to. You know, just leave him a lot of good messages. Okay, talking about what his opinion on Battlefield, the franchise, and where each game is positioned in his tier system. And he decided to put Battlefield 4 as the only Battlefield that is a tier S.
It is.
Look,
I mean,
you got done. You put Bad Company as a C.
Hey,
brother.
Look,
Brother, look, you got done explaining
how. It is my list.
Listen. You went through the video and talked about how great the story was in Bad Company 1 and 2. And so what's your problem? The multiplayer wasn't great? Huh? What's the problem then? Because you already know the multiplayer was some of the best multiplayer ever.
We're going to hash this out afterwards. Keep going, man. We're going to hash this out. Me and you, mano. I love you, Paul, for real.
I love you too, PTK, man. It was awesome. I had to have a good time with you because
I know.
It was awful, though. I was cringing through the entire video. I couldn't believe it.
I appreciate
well, first of all, your list of not played Battlefield games,
man,
right there. I know you were being honest, but right there, like, I don't even know why you were doing this. Like, I was like, okay, well, good. This guy's got no frame of reference. That's great. So, no, I'm just kidding with you. Great videos. PTK has been putting the work in on the video, so do go check out his videos, whether you agree or disagree, like I do. Been a great week, man. Didn't get to play as much as I wanted to this week at all, and today was busy. But put some time into Back 4 Blood. Awesome game. Actually ordered up a couple old Xbox 360 games. Been rocking those out. Yes, you guys know I play old games. I enjoy old games. So Lollipop Chainsaw, Peak, Suda 51, one of my favorite 360 games. I finally picked up another copy. Actually found it cheap on GameStop, which was amazing. And then Battle for Middle-earth 2, Lord of Rings, a nice RTS, one of my favorite RTSs from the 360 game. So that's pretty much what I've been doing this week. But we got a lot of great topics, a lot of stuff happening. Not big news, but a lot of little news everywhere. So can't wait to hear Ace's thoughts, and always great to be here with you, brothers. So let's get down to business.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, man. We'll have to hash out that other stuff later. But I appreciate you, brothers. So let's go and throw this over to you, Fuzz, man. Smooth operator over here. How you been, man? Once again, on the show earlier. Awesome.
Yeah, been kind of relaxing and enjoying this week. Boys had a big birthday celebration. They turned 16, got twins, awesome. And try to just keep them happy for this week. Let them kind of enjoy their time, and then back to normal.
Next week is back to bread and water.
But got done with the Fun Speculation podcast, or FSP podcast, earlier today with my other family, Fun Speculation, Phasma, and Key. And, got to talk a few things, but we got some different topics here today. And man, there's just so much fun in gaming. And glad to have Ace on here. First time podcasting with you, so hope we don't keep you up here too late. But thank you so much for joining us.
That's all
here.
good. I'm committed. You got the whole night.
Nice.
And Ace, you want to host the show?
Not that committed.
This is a real cool. This is really happening. All right, go ahead.
No, but glad to be here, and man, let's get into these topics. Well, actually, let's get over to Centurion, because glad he's here and rocking with us tonight. So take it over, Centurion.
Yeah, you guys want to talk about dedication, Centurion? Appreciate you, bro. I know you weren't feeling well earlier, but glad to see you here. I'm sure the chat's glad to see you as well. Let everybody know what's going on with you.
Man, it is Saturday night, and this place is my medicine to make me feel good, to talk about games, meet new people, hang out with the community. Shout out to Blue, was playing Far Cry 6 with him last night. It was actually one of the first times I co-opted a Far Cry game, had an absolute great time. Also watched him go ruthless on somebody with a machete. So I'm warning you, he may be quiet, but he's dangerous.
Shout out to Blue.
Yes, awesome member of the community, and that's what I love about being here, is being able to chat with games, being able to hang out with everybody, to talk about a hobby we all love. And man, this is why people do games, to forget about what's going on in their personal life, the real world around them, and just to be able to talk about something other than, to be frank, the crap all around us. This is a great time to be here. It's a great time to be in gaming. So, let's get this started.
Let's get started, man. We're not going to waste no more time. People, hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. Thank you guys so much. Let's dive right into the show. So you know how we started, poll of the week every single week. So you guys have been going crazy on the polls. I do appreciate the engagement. You guys always like the topic. So that's always on my Twitter every single Monday. So if you're not following me, that's where it's at. So follow me. All that information is down in the description. So this week's poll, we're talking a little bit about Fable. So essentially, it was We Are Playground New Fable will be the best in the series. Essentially, it was a question. 91% of the people said this next Fable will be the best Fable ever. So 91% said yes, 9% said no. So I don't know how much experience you have with Fable, Asa, but do you think this next Fable will be the best Fable in the series?
Do you want a simple yes or no? Or do you want a little bit more detail?
I need some detail, brother. I need some details.
It's, I very much love the Fable games, and I was well into the first one. And the moment that I played the first one, it's one of those games that's quite pivotal in my taste in games, and it taught me certain things. One of the things it taught me is that I like games that you can't save scum in. You can save scum in Fable, but it's one of these games where it gives you these decisions and it's not necessarily obvious what the consequences are going to be. And then you watch it play out. And if you can save scum, it kind of ruins it a little bit. And I always really wanted... so Fable brought in this character customization, the kind of thing that you've got in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas as well, where you can build up the character through your actions. And I loved that. And I always wanted to see that delivered in a multiplayer game. And I'm still waiting. And I've been waiting a very long time. Because I'd love to have like an online RPG where you're building your character through the way that you play and it represents what you've been doing. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And there's no kind of evidence that the next Fable is going to do that. But there is evidence that it's being made by Playground Games, whose record is phenomenal. We know that they're a massively talented studio. David Springate, we've had on the Game on Daily show a few times. When he was at Codemasters working on Dirt 5, he is now heading up the team, the technical team, making Fable. And he's a great guy. We know that they're a UK-based studio. We know they've got everything to go into a Fable game. Yep. You've got a Microsoft that is on fire, pushing everything, funding it, and supporting it as well as they can. And yeah, I think it will be I'm going to say yes. This will be the best Fable.
Oh, okay. All right. No, the funny thing about Fable is that people don't. So there's since there's a time gap between the last Fable, and obviously we're not even going to talk about the Fable Legends. We're not even going to bring that up, but I think people have become detached with Fable as a franchise and like what Fable actually did for gaming. Like Fable introduced a lot of brand new things that we didn't have in games. So I'm actually really happy that you brought that up, Asa, about the choices and those choices not being directly felt with your character. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to affect the story until later on. And there are games now that have hard times doing that. And that game essentially perfected that. And I think that's one of the big things about Fable that I enjoyed as well. So it's kind of cool that you brought that up.
It's also it's hard to talk about Fable without mentioning Peter Molyneux and Lionhead.
Yeah,
and obviously the negatives associated with that. But Fable was always when it came out, it didn't get massively credited because much as it was an incredible game, the game that Peter Molyneux promised and hoped to deliver was even more. So he promised and promised and promised, and he delivered maybe 80% of it, and that 80% was a great game. But people just wanted the rest that he had said about. So I don't know. I was a big fan.
Yeah, no, he's a polarizing figure because he's an artsy dev. He's like everything is art. He reminds me a lot of like Kojima. Like they're real eccentric.
I still want Milo. Can we get Milo? I want Milo bad.
He's a brilliant dev, but it's just like he kind of he's kind of eccentric. He kind of takes his time, like you said, over promise, under deliver, that kind of deal, and it kind of rubbed people the wrong way. But Fable, once again, if you've not had a chance to go back and play the old ones, there you can go back and do so. So phenomenal games. They're responsible for a lot of, I guess, game features, I would say, they're normal in a lot of games nowadays. So really, really great franchise. And I do agree with you. I think this will be the best version of Fable that we can get. And a lot of it has to do with just Playground. And I agree with you on that as well. Their track record is uncanny. And a lot of people wouldn't make the connection. And I made this in that last Fable video I did, or Forza/Fable video I did on the channel. People kind of looked at Playground and said, well, that doesn't make any sense. When you first heard about Playground working on Fable, did you have the same thought, Asa, or were you like, you know what, that's interesting?
Definitely interesting. So one of the key things about Fable is quite kind of quintessentially British as well.
True.
So
the humor, all
Playground, exactly, and Playground can nail that. So it's fair to say that we've not seen what they can do in that space because they've obviously just made Forza Horizon games, phenomenal Forza Horizon games. We know they can do environments. We know that they can do tech. can they deliver the comedy of a Fable game? I mean, time will tell, but I'm optimistic. I think they will.
Okay, no, I agree. I listen. And just funny thing, because this is another thing that's ironic about this. Before we move on to Pong here, people have always asked Xbox first party studios to do other things, right? That's always kind of been a thing. Well, why doesn't 343? Why doesn't Coalition do other things outside of Gears? And this is a first party studio doing something outside of their wheelhouse. So that's another thing that's interesting and to me as well, that they would give Playground this franchise and say, you guys, we trust you to work on this. And I think they're going to smash. I think it's going to be way better than I even anticipate. At least I hope so, but I just got a great feeling about it. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. We're ready to hear your opinion about the poll. And do you agree? Do you think that this will be the best Fable?
Can I say at least you had a reasonable poll this week, PTK? That's good, man. This was actually a reasonable poll. No. I answered no, so I'm in the small category.
Okay.
And again, when I say no, let me explain, because I have total faith in Playground. I think this is going to be an incredible experience. Okay, whatever they come up with, I think is going to be incredible. But the specific question was the best in the Fable franchise. I think it's and it's not that it's impossible, because nothing is impossible here, but I think it is very, very difficult for a studio to go back and recapture the original vision, the original feelings.
Before you finish your point, just think about Halo Infinite for a second. Before you finish your point, we had the same reservations about Halo Infinite. So,
however, the difference is that number one, 343 is made up most of Bungie, right? They've got the original guy back in Staten. Okay. They got one of the original guys back, and and probably almost half their staff is original Bungie.
True. That's fair.
Well.
That's a fair.
Okay. So there is some differences here. Number two, I would say that 343, if this turns out the way it is, we always going to compare it to the old stuff, but you will be able to go back to Halo 3 and still feel something different than you feel with Halo Infinite. Not to say that Halo Infinite isn't going to be the best in the series, because I think it is, right? But it's going to be 343's own Halo, right? They're going to stamp their mark here. Okay, so there's a couple differences here. So I'm not saying that Fable's not going to be great. I have utter faith that this is going to be great. But to go back and recapture what 1 and 2 did. For me specifically, 1 and 2, 3 was okay. We're not going to talk about the other ones, whatever. But 1 and 2 were simply on another level when it came to that style. I do have some concerns, and I'm glad Asa has confidence in this, but I do have some concerns about them trying to capture that British humor. For the time and when it came out, it was special. And I don't know if a lot of it will translate the same way it does in 2021. And I'm hoping they can grab onto new stuff. And again, like I just talked about 343, kind of make it their own. That'll be fine. But as of right now, I do have some concern about whether or not they're going to be able to actually nail that down and make it relevant nowadays. Okay. That's another piece of this. I just think that there's a lot. Again, because I'm a nostalgia heavy guy, because I still play old games, because I've been doing this for 4 decades, right? I hold special places in my heart for games. And the Fable 1 and 2 especially are 2 of them in there, because they did, like Asa said, at the time when they came out, changed a lot. Even though Molyneux overpromised, what he did come up with did change a lot how you thought about RPGs up to that point in a lot of ways. And he did add a lot to what, the RPG market at that time and point was. And I think that that now we've seen it done so many times before. Fable stands on its own just because of what it is, but we've seen it done in so many different iterations now through the past, couple decades here, or decade, that I think that some of that, what grabbed our attention, what gave us that Fable feel, and what made us go, wow, some of that wow factor might be a little dull at this point. And Playground's going to have to work extra hard to try to come up with something new to wow us with.
So
If they go back, listen, if they go back and they look at Molyneux's promises and what he tried, and they try to bring some of those promises to fruition, and they expand upon the systems that he did come up with as far, as the good and evil stuff and how it affects your appearance and how people react to you and all kind of, and if they can expand that out into nowadays terms, maybe we still get that wow factor. Right? Maybe we still go, okay, wow, they really took this to another level, right? And that is the potential. So again, I said no because just off the cuff, without knowing anything about this game, without seeing anything outside of a CGI trailer, without having any information as to where they're taking the story, what they're trying to do with it, any of the mechanics they're implementing, I'm just saying no, because for me personally, it's going to be hard for them to overcome 1 and 2 and make me say, yeah, this is the greatest Fable game ever. I may wind up at the end of the day saying this is a fantastic RPG. This is a fantastic story, but will I say this is the best Fable of all time? That's going to be hard for them to do.
Okay, that's fair. So I think there's a couple. I don't say counterpoints. There's a couple things that I think that they benefit from. One, I don't think any of that's going to matter because when the last Fable, we're in a completely new generation of gamers. So there's no prerequisite for us. It is because we played Fable, but for the majority of the gamers now, they haven't even touched Fable. They don't even know what Fable is or even look like. So they do have the benefit of there being 10, 12, 15 years between the last actual Fable game. So they can literally paint their own picture at this point because what does Fable look like in 2021? Right. We have no point of reference for that. So in my opinion, with the prerequisite set of skills that they have, and I'm not saying you're wrong because I have a little reservation as well, and that's not even my argument, but I just think that they have some major benefits, and I just trust Playground, to be honest with you, just based on their body of work.
Oh, absolutely. Now, so do I.
And once again, I just love the idea of a Xbox first party studio not doing something that they've always done, right? That's something that we've talked about as well.
Absolutely. Too. It's just that the way the question proposed is it's a personal question, right? Yeah. So it's going to be for me as an older gamer who loves the Fable 1 and 2 so much, it changes my idea when you ask that question, right? Versus what you're talking about, which is absolutely true. I'm so happy that it's getting reintroduced to a new generation, just like Perfect Dark is, right? Yep. I'm so happy that those franchises are coming back and letting people experience them. We talk about this so much on the show too, PTK, with again with the Mass Effect trilogy being remastered. That was absolutely fantastic for people who never got to play it because there was 1-2 generations that only heard about them a lot of the time and never got to play them. So yes, from that standpoint, I absolutely agree with you. When people play this, the people who've never played the older Fables, when they get their hands on this Fable, is it something they might open their eyes and go, oh, this is why everybody talked about Fable? Yes, because they're not going to have a point of reference and they might say, God, this is fantastic. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. Yeah absolutely.
No, so and Asa, I saw you. Chickens are vital. Chickens are vital.
You have to
like no chickens, no Fable, right? That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
It's important.
Yeah, chickens gotta be there. We gotta get the chickens for sure. But shout out to you. But yeah, let's go throw this over to you, Fuzz. Now I don't know how much if I remember correctly, you didn't play a ton of Fable. Maybe you did.
No, but I've played a ton of Forza and mainly Horizon.
Yeah.
I think the chicken thing will make it in. The reason why I say that, you can run over them, although it doesn't show like a flattened chicken or roadkill chicken in Horizon 4, but there are some that cross the road and they don't look like they make it, or they bounce off the car, and you will hear them sometimes when you do clip them.
You're a monster.
Well, I
slow down for the chickens. I don't win the races.
I'm trying to get the checkered flag, and they just happen to, get in the way. No, but on a serious note, I think just based on their, environment or world building prowess that they've done with like Forza Horizon 3 and Horizon 4 and the scenes that we've seen for Forza Horizon 5, I think they'll make the best open world Fable to this date, especially visually or graphically, let's say. Yeah. I haven't played the story, so I'm one of those that won't have a good point of reference, so I'll probably enjoy the story. They seem to have not like a Monty Python sense of humor, but they do have what I would consider kind of along like a a more modern British humor, like at least some of the shows you would see of today, like not the Office that you see in the States, but the one that show is based off of. They do have a good sense of humor as far as some of the things that they've squeezed into Horizon 4, whether you're listening to like the radio stations or some of the storylines where you're going after like certain cars or the garage finds and things like that. So I think they'll be able to get at least some of it. I don't know if they'll quite nail it for, original fans of the Fable series, but I think they stand a pretty good chance just from a utility standpoint of building a great world, great character design, great visual effects and things along those lines. I mean, the weather effects that they've added to Horizon 4, I think that whole system was almost like a playground test per se for Fable. So when we found out that they were doing it and they're in the UK, I think it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, me being new to Fable, I can't speak on the story aspect of it. I would hope that they at least get 75 to 85% there as far
Yeah.
as being on par with some of the original favorites of the fans. But visually, I think no question. I think they'll do 10. I won't say 10 times better, but a good bit better graphically, design wise, and things like that than the Lionhead Studio was able to do in the past.
Quick question as well. Does anybody on the panel know, are they using the new engine for Fable, the new Forza engine? Is it confirmed?
Yes,
It's the new Forza.
Yeah, that's the word on the street.
Okay.
Asa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the new Forza tech that they're going with.
Believe so, yeah, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I think we would assume it's going to be the new Forza tech engine. So okay, but go ahead, Fuzz. I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
No, I'm not sure on the engine. I think even the current engine would be good enough. I mean, the car physics that they're adding, the tire modeling that they're adding to the newer engine, and possibly the additional photogrammetry beyond what they're able to do in Horizon 5 would be great. But I think even what, just from a visual standpoint, what they've been able to do with Horizon 5, I think even the older engine would carry the best graphically detailed environment to date type of thing. So engine wise, I think they could probably still use the older engine and have a heck of a beautiful game in comparison. So
well, I guess if we're assuming that the game is already, I mean, we're aware the game's already been started as far as development. So I mean, I guess they could transition to the new engine. I mean, what's the game that transitioned? There's a few games that have transitioned from like Unreal 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Like I think as a Hellblade transition from 4 to 5. I think.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but
but it's not a cross-gen game though, so I would think that's just building straight onto the new one.
True. It's going to be just strictly new consoles, I believe, as well. So that makes sense. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you.
Real quick before you go to Centurion, I looked it up, and there's been articles on it, and it sounds like they because they started production so early, they are currently using the current version of Forza tech, but they are altering it to fit the needs for an open world RPG. So whether or not they start incorporating some of the new Forza tech, kind of like people moving from Unreal to 4 to Unreal 5, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But it sounds like they started on the current version.
That makes sense.
But just slightly altered. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I assume they'd have to make some adjustments with that engine because it's a completely different type of game, and they need it to work a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, and get your opinion on do you think this will be the best Fable in the series?
I voted yes, but I have a few reasons for that. I love Fable. I've been playing Fable games for a long time now, it feels like. I mean, they're always a great game to go back and play, even if you've already played them already. I happen to be another supporter of playing old games. Just recently bought oh my God, what is it? Prince of Persia, the one from like 2008.
Oh,
the one that's like real artsy. So that one I'm actually looking forward to playing. Back on to Fable, this whole situation with Playground Games, I think is real interesting because if we look at it, how do you build a diamond? A diamond is built under pressure. And I'm pretty sure Playground Games understands the pressure that they're getting themselves into. I'm sure Phil Spencer or Matt Booty or whoever at Microsoft didn't walk over to Playground Games and saying, you're building the new Fable game. This is probably something that they put themselves on a limb and probably asked for. They knew what they were getting themselves into. And I mean, it's really awesome to see a developer going outside of their usual wheelhouse and wanting to get themselves into something new, because this is how we advance franchises. This is how we start putting in new mechanics, and we get some new blood pumped into an old franchise. I want to use Psychonauts, the game Psychonauts, as an example. The first game, everybody did love it, but I also didn't hear people raving about it as much as they are with Psychonauts 2. I feel Psychonauts 2 really pumped a lot of excitement into a game where there's a huge stretch between, game A and game B. And I really feel that Playground Games has a good chance to do the same thing that Double Fine did over there with Psychonauts. There has been a large, substantial time between the last Fable game that has come out. The last Fable game that did come out was Fable 3, was not actually very well received, even though
I remember that.
People did kind of like it, but it was definitely down a road that a lot of people did not want to see for Fable. And then obviously the game Fable Legends did not exactly come to fruition. We saw the closure of Lionhead Studios. So I really feel that Playground Games does have a chance to capture something here. And it also to capture the fact that it's going to show developers that it's okay to reach outside. So you do racing games constantly, and that's your main forte is racing games. But if we all played Forza Horizon 4 in that British setting, beautiful setting, and I have always stood by, they have to do the next Fable game, because I feel like they've already got some of the assets there and what they need to really pull this off. And there was a podcast I used to be on where I was the air quotation marks Xbox guy, and I got pretty much a lot of scuff for saying that I actually do believe Playground Games is developing a Fable game. And I remember everybody saying Fable was dead. There's no way Playground Games is going to do something like that because they find more success in the Forza franchise. And here it is, 2021, and I was completely right. So I feel good in the fact that I was right for believing that Playground Games was doing it and that they can do it. And I want to stand by, I feel right in saying that Playground Games is going to give new life to the Fable franchise that is going to basically almost be something to be remembered, because it is going to make people play this game and they're going to be like, oh my God. And they're going to go back and play these other games that are available in Game Pass right now. Heck, they might be playing them right now just to get caught up. But that is going to be the milestone of where Playground Games pretty much reached into the ashes of the Fable franchise and possibly gives birth to a phoenix of a new game.
I agree. And I have full faith in Playground. There's no reason not to. Like, I think people sometimes, because it's so different for them, there's obviously going to be like initial reservations about with them just doing it. But I don't think there's a talent issue. I don't think there's obviously not a talent issue. You see what they do with the games that they do make. Fable literally, what other franchises consistently as good as Fable, and it's gotten a Fable. Sorry,
dude.
Forza.
The British humor, thing was one of the greatest things I loved about Fable. I mean, let's just be blunt. In the second game, they taught everybody the importance of safe sex. If you didn't use that condom, you all of a sudden had a wife, kids, and in the middle of questing, you had to go back and make sure your wife and kids were taken care of.
Yeah, Fuzz, you never played this. Yeah, you never got around. You never played it.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally, you would go out, buy a home, fall in love with some girl, take her back, and if you didn't use protection, all of a sudden the game would give you that message, be like, hey, your girl back home gave birth to a kid. What? Nah. And you go back, and then, dude, like, it was just simple things like that. And then obviously you could be the hero and stand in the middle of the town and pose, and everybody'd come around and clap at you and ooh and ah. Or you could be just the game a-hole and everybody in town stays clear of you.
Yeah, it's crazy. The level of like choice that they give you is insane. It's really hard. You have to just experience it. Really, it's hard to really even talk about.
They also gave, like, in Fable 2, I think Fable 1, the idea of time moving, where you went from a kid to a young man to a man and to an older man. And like, I feel that gave me kind of inklings from Zelda Ocarina of Time, where you would walk up and grab the Sword of Time and then the Master Sword. And when you woke up, all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, some time went by. You're like way older now. And that's where like I really felt the Fable games kind of captured an essence of something that a lot of developers don't really tackle, and that is the concept of the passage of time. If we look at most games go around this concept of, hey, this all takes place in a couple days, a week, a month, not much time goes by. But in Fable games, I mean, choices have major ramifications, and they also stretch apart across years. Like, you literally, by the time you end Fable 3, your character is a white-haired old man. I mean, not Fable 3, Fable 2. Your character is a white-haired old man.
Yeah, it's insane what they were able to do with that game. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. Once again, I think we're all just excited about the game, what it's going to be, what they're capable of doing with it, and I just think really at the end of the day, that's what we want to see. So shout out to chat. Let me go ahead and throw a couple quick shout out to Gabo. I got What Just Happened, Joe Bailey, OCD Gamer. I saw Invader jump in here, Phasma, Mav. Everybody got the whole FSP fam in here. Caitlin probably popped in here too, I think maybe. But appreciate everybody for watching. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. So we're moving on to the next topic, man, keeping the train going. So we're talking a little bit about Obsidian and Avowed. Now, there was some new news that came out. Shout out to Jez Corden from Windows Central. Big shout out to Jez. And I believe he shared a few details just about this next game. Talked about it being maybe a hybrid of Outer Worlds and Pillars of Eternity, which is definitely not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. And just kind of, they're giving us a couple quick nuggets about Avowed. So just want to throw this over to you, Asa, to get started here. One, have you heard about this information? And two, what does this, I mean, were you already excited about Avowed? And kind of what does this do for you? Were you kind of looking at them going that direction?
Yeah, so I was definitely already excited about Avowed. Obsidian they're a wonderful studio.
Amazing.
They make mature RPGs that give you interesting choices and interesting characters. Look, you could say the same about Fable, but it's a different tone. Obsidian have their own sense of humor and their own storytelling talent. And what everybody wants for all of these studios that Microsoft have gobbled up is for them to go bigger than they've done before. So all of the smaller studios, Double Fine, Obsidian,
Yep.
Ninja Theory, you want Microsoft to support them with money and resources and time so that they can do the best version of the games that they've already been making. And with Obsidian making Avowed, I mean, the information that Jez Corden has shared, and I like Jez because he gets some insider information and he doesn't blurt it out for clout. He's quite, I don't know the word, but he's good with it, and he's just given enough information to go on. And there's not actually a lot in there that you don't get from the trailer already. So what he's confirmed is essentially that Avowed, the trailer that we saw, is what they're aiming for with the game. It is a first-person game. It is, lots of people were already speculating that it was in the Pillars of Eternity universe, and it is in the Pillars of Eternity universe. Mm-hmm. It's got this spell casting like you see in the trailer. It's perhaps a bit more colourful and vibrant. It's got a bit more like diversity to the landscapes, but all in all, it is the Skyrim-like Outer Worlds-like game that the trailer implied it is, and it's going to be big. And yeah, it's Obsidian, so it's going to be gripping, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. And the one thing I've been excited about, and one, just to let y'all know, Chad, I've been on the Avowed hype train since it was first debuted. So I'm already on there. I got my ticket. I'm in the back of the train. So I've been on the Avowed hype train. But the thing that excites me just about some of the things that you share, it's once again, it's not something that you can't already get from the trailer anyway. But it's just, I think so highly of Obsidian. Like, I really feel like, and I've said this, and I'm going on record, I feel like they're going to be like, one of, if not the most consistent first party studio. And that's, I noticed they got 25 of them, 24, 25. So I know that's a lot, but I just feel like Obsidian, their combination of talent and their ability to create, they do what they do extremely well at a very high level. And Avowed is nothing short of amazing, just as far as what I've seen so far, which is not much, but I'm just really, really excited about the game, the possibilities. I'm not really big into RPGs, but my palette has expanded with Game Pass. I've been playing more games like that, giving them opportunities, dungeon crawlers, things kind of in that same vein. So I'm ready for a huge open world RPG, something brand new, and it looks amazing, just from what we saw so far. So I want to ask you another quick question about this, Asa, before we throw this over to Centurion here. As far as Avowed, and to me, because they have essentially, Xbox has, they've cornered the Western RPG market. I think we can agree on that, right? They have the best, they have the best studios that make the best Western RPG games. Do you think that like there's friendly competition with them and like Bethesda, like who can they out Bethesda with Avowed? Like, is that kind of thing going on, you think?
I think it's an interesting problem for Microsoft. Because I don't think there's any kind of hostility between these studios.
Oh, no,
I think they all want to make great games and they'll all support each other as best they can. But there is an issue with timing, because you've got Avowed, you've got Elder Scrolls 6, you've got Fable. That's just the high fantasy ones, and then you've got like Starfield, you've got Outer Worlds 2, you've got In Exile making a sci-fi, supposedly steampunk RPG
Compulsion
as well.
doing something.
Yeah, and these are games that take a lot of hours and a lot of time, and they're all going to go into Game Pass, and so they're competing in that sense. But it's a scheduling issue for Microsoft, and then you've got things like Dragon Age Inquisition from the outside. So third parties, Microsoft have gobbled up a lot of studios, but there's still some big ones on the side as well. You've got Larian as well, making, so they're the Divinity Original Sins and Baldur's Gate 3 that they're making at the moment. There's a lot of big games that take a lot of hours, and a lot of people are going to have access to all of the ones that are on Game Pass. So, scheduling issue. We want them all to be great. I guess each studio is going to be setting a bar for another one.
Yeah.
And you can only feel for whoever doesn't meet that bar, but hopefully they all will.
Yeah. It's a friendly, healthy competition. I mean, you guys are all everybody's check is signed by the same person. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think it's the underrated part of this too is that the sharing of ideas as well, right? Between all of those studios, because they are so close.
Which is a risk.
That is risky.
It's a positive. Like, you want them to support each other and you want them to take the best ideas, but you don't want all these games to end up the same. So there's sharing, and they're sharing too far. But
yeah, no, I get you. I feel you. But that's up to management. That's up to Phil to manage and Matt Booty, correct? That's what they're supposed to be there for. So they'll manage the egos and all the other in between stuff. We just want good games at the end of the day, and the talent's there. So I agree with you, Asa. So let's throw this over to Centurion. Just get your opinion on just this new information about Avowed, and I mean, what is it? Has it bumped up your hype level, or just is this kind of what you expected out of Avowed?
So it has bumped up my hype level in the fact it did confirm some stuff for me. Watching that trailer, when you see them use the magical abilities and they move their hand around to actually start using some of those magical abilities, I was kind of wondering, is that just animation, or is that something that you're going to have to perform? I've always been a big fan of the idea of what I call the Last Airbender style of using magic. It's not just this thing where I snap my fingers and things appear. It has like the elements from Last Airbender and also Doctor Strange, where you actually have to physically reach into the universe and actually, draw the symbols and actually create the magic and actually use it in the world around you. And that's what I'm really looking forward to in Avowed. Is I really like how Obsidian is not going to treat it like it's their traditional Elder Scrolls thing, because I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, been playing ESO for a long time, played a lot of different Elder Scrolls games. And for Elder Scrolls, it's just find a scroll, learn a spell, boom, you can now throw a fireball. That's it. It has nothing to do with the actual game mechanic. It's more like pulling the trigger on a gun at this point. When you basically push the button, you throw a fireball. I'm really curious on how the game mechanics are going to work when it comes to using spells and the swords. I've also liked what I read about what Jez said that they were going to do, where they're going to have a lot more focus to the classes, where if you're going to be a warrior, obviously there's going to be a lot more physical and melee combat. In Elder Scrolls, you could be a warrior, but you could also modify that character to use magic and do other things. It doesn't seem like they're probably going to allow... It seems like you're going to have very class specific style roles in this game. And I'm just really glad to see Obsidian is once again touching the RPG world. They're really going to reach out and show, a different version of Elder Scrolls. I could go on all day long about the two comparisons between the franchises on how they're similar. But for me, what gets me excited is the new game mechanics that Obsidian is going to be interjecting into an RPG fantasy game that other RPG fantasy game manufacturers or developers are going to see. And they're going to be like, well, why didn't we think of that? And that's how we get the competition and the creativity that drives these games to become fundamentally different over time. So I'm really looking forward to what Obsidian is going to put out with this game. I have enjoyed everything that I've read so far, everything that I've seen so far. And I just really feel this is going to be another staple franchise, just like the Outer Worlds for Obsidian. And it's going to totally solidify the fact that Microsoft made a really good decision in bringing Obsidian under the fold or the umbrella of Microsoft Xbox. And I'm excited. That's all I can say.
No, I absolutely do. And like I said, competition ultimately at Xbox, as far as that genre, RPGs in general, man, they got a go ahead.
I was going to say something as simple as the ping button in Apex Legends. If we all if I'm right, if memory serves me right, in Fortnite, they didn't have a ping feature where you could be like, hey, dude, there. Apex Legends comes out, and all of a sudden they have a ping button, and you can be like, hey, there's a dude over there. And not even a few months later, that was pretty much coded into Fortnite. It just goes to show how you could have hundreds of people working for you, making your product, and nobody thought of a ping button. And all of a sudden another game comes out and there it is. And now it's like, well, why don't we think of that? And that's what I really feel Obsidian is going to do to a franchise that, in my opinion, has been a little, not a franchise, a style of gaming that's been, excuse the expression, a little stagnant. It's been just constantly running around doing dungeons and fighting mythical creatures, and they've all kind of had very, very good similarities with each other. And now here comes Obsidian with well, let's try some different game mechanics and different ideas, and let's start messing with the formula a little bit, so that way maybe we could create something completely unique.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm super duper excited. I think Obsidian, like I said, is just super talented, and I just love what they do. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. I mean, I we've been on the Obsidian hype train for a while. We've been on a Avowed hype train for a while. So just this new information, what does that do for you as far as your expectations, Pong?
Well, I mean, again, yeah, like you said, PTK, we've been through the Obsidian hype train forever. Again, I said, at the end of the day, this could Avowed specifically could put them on the same. They've always been like the little brothers to Bethesda. They've done a better job. They've shown them up.
Facts.
With Fallout.
Uh-oh, that's
New
spicy.
Vegas, right?
That's
Yeah. Well,
spicy.
I mean, that's why there was a lot of bad. There was a lot of bad blood there for a little bit, and obviously that's under the bridge now, and they're underneath the Xbox family, and bygones be bygones, right? They're past that point now, but they have always obviously looked up to Bethesda. So to take. First of all, shout out to Jez for coming up with this information. Again, like Asa said, he is very he's very controlled with the information that he releases, and he only does it when he knows for sure that he's got it right. And he kind of talked about it today on Xbox 2 as well. Shout out to that. If you guys didn't listen to that, he dropped some more nuggets about Obsidian today. He's seen the third game in development outside of Avowed and Outer Worlds 2.
Wow.
And he's talking about basically them having one big game or one small game almost every year from here on out. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all comes about. But Obsidian for a long time has looked up to Bethesda in a good way. And they have gone and created an entire world with Pillars of Eternity that has all the lore, all the dynamic stuff that you need from a world building standpoint to take on to the next level. Pillars of Eternity obviously is a niche title because it's a strategy game. Again, not everybody's into that tactile kind of play. And so it's been missed by a lot of people. But if you've had the pleasure of playing Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, and both of them are on Game Pass, by the way, it is a fantastic world, right up there with some of the best worlds ever created by Bethesda. So now they're going to take it to the next level and put their spin on it and create their version of Elder Scrolls within the Pillars of Eternity universe. Pillars of Eternity universe has very, I would say unique, because it's stuff that's been done since the time of pen and paper games with D&D and stuff. But at the same time, they've gone to great lengths to make their spell casting, since Centurion brought that up, and other aspects very again different from what you would classically think about when you think about spells and that kind of stuff. So to hear that they're going to bring all of that in, give us this in first person like Elder Scrolls, and allow us the customization that obviously a lot of us that love role-playing games crave, that again solidifies why Avowed is one of my most anticipated titles upcoming down the road here from Xbox.
Let me get this super chat real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
My bad. Yeah, so we got a $5 super chat from Chris Jones. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. He said, "Great show as always. Glad to hear from the panel and Pong Soul. LOL. Keep up the great work, everyone." Shout out to you, Chris Jones. Appreciate you, brother.
Good supporter. Shout out to you, Chris. So I just think that what they're adding, the flavor that they're going to add to this, is going to separate it from Elder Scrolls, because again, like Asa was talking about, when you share, like, there's no doubt right now Xbox is controlling the Western RPG market, right?
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, when you've got all these houses that build great RPGs, and a lot of them like Obsidian, Bethesda, and so on, like to build those, European high fantasy style games, yes, you could wind up with a problem where all your games kind of feel the same, right? And that is where you gotta trust your teams, the creative minds behind the stories, to make sure that they are kind of separating themselves. And obviously the good ones are going to want to do that, and Xbox has acquired some of the best in the gaming industry to do this. So they are going to make sure that they do separate themselves. Again, that's why a lot of people like Fallout New Vegas, because it wasn't exactly straight line Fallout. They put their own twist in there, and that's why people really liked it. Their writing separated them kind of from Bethesda in that game, and so that's going to be where they place their mark, right? And that's what I believe they're going to do, because they are taking this game from a world that they already know inside and out. They're not having to world build from the bottom up, right? They're not having to sit around and talk about all the little tiny details and specifics that go into building a huge open world RPG. They've got it already, all that laid out for them. All they're going to do is add to it, make sure it's all cohesive, and then drop it into the game, and then work on the character creation, work on all the narrative stuff. That's all they have to worry about. It's all there for them. The base has already been built. And so this is going to be very comfortable for them. So I believe Avowed will put them on the map. I think after Avowed drops, if they stick the landing, that they will no longer be the little brother. They will be side by side with Bethesda, Todd Howard and his team, A-Team, as far as some of the best world building RPG makers in the industry. And I think that's where Obsidian's headed. And I believe that, again, out of all the studios, and there's a lot of them, Obsidian is up there in probably the top 3 with the most potential.
I agree.
And again, it's going to be something special. And if what Jez is saying true, and they're still hiring, as a lot of the studios are, In Exile is still hiring. We just saw a tweet from them as well. But if they're still hiring and growing, and they got that leadership solidified, and that leadership does not plan on going anywhere, which I'm assuming they would not at this point. They've got a nice comfy spot now, and they can sit back and just create games. Look, you got a studio that could build themselves out and literally start putting together 4 and 5 games at a time. And that's something special right there. That's going to really, really make a mark, especially if each one of those games come out high quality. We saw Grounded come out, which was a side little project by a small little team. Guess what they did? They turned that into something as kind of a big deal. Yeah, it's not like huge. It's not Sea of Thieves huge, but guess what? For a little game that they just wanted to kind of put together, they had an idea.
People, I think.
Small team. Exactly. It was a little passion project. Guess what? Now they got a pretty big franchise. They're getting ready for another release. They're going to bring it bring it to a full release standing sometime next
People
year.
made fun of Grounded.
Yes,
I remember that.
yes,
I got
absolutely.
receipts. I don't want to go there because it's not that it's not that kind of podcast.
And guess what they're doing with the latest update? They're going to start adding RPG elements. Oh, imagine that, right? So again, they found their home, and I think that we are on the cusp of something big. Avowed, I expect it to release in 2023, and I think that we are in for one hell of a ride when this thing comes out.
I agree. I've always felt in Fuzz, like I said, I'm on record. You guys can go back and watch the videos. Please do, by the way. They're in the archive. So I've been saying this about since they've gotten Obsidian. I think they are going to be a top 3 first-party studio at Xbox. And that's saying a lot because there's so much talent. Like every studio is individually talented in their own way. But let's go ahead and get this over to Fuzz before we move on to the next topic, man. So where you at on the new information on Avowed, Fuzz? We've talked about this, me and you personally, one-on-one, as well as just other podcasts. So where you at, man, with the new info?
Well, I was already excited for the game from get-go. I mean, just seeing how you can kind of do the casting of the magic spells, and just even though it's kind of like a CGI or maybe in-engine type of trailer that they showed a year or so ago, I was already pretty hyped for it because I know Obsidian had some RPG things that they were trying to work on for the original launch of the Xbox with Stormlands and things like that. So the new information just kind of, I wouldn't say solidifies, but just adds on to that hype level for it. And I kind of wonder with this, not saying Jez is part of like a time leak type of deal, but it seems like as we get closer to like the VGAs and things like that, with him speaking about it, I'm wondering if we might see this along with Hellblade at the VGAs. Like, I know
spot on, Fuzzy. You're spot on, Fuzzy. Again, this information is not coming out randomly. So Clobriel also got to see the footage. So it's slowly but surely getting out there.
Yeah. And
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you are.
No, you're fine. It just seems like Xbox now knows how to manipulate, the, not necessarily the press, but at least, slow drip, let some of the info out. The same thing with them, doing some of the stuff with Horizon 5. Slow drip, get the people excited. There's about 30 days left before the game releases and stuff, and at least with the Horizon 5, and then we're not too far from the VGAs. Just kind of add some kindling to the fire type of thing before we put all the the fuel on there to kind of not burn the show down, but light the Twitter spaces on fire and whatnot with everybody a buzz about this game. But I think the new info definitely leads to what a lot of people were looking for. So it's a little bit different than an ESO or anything along those lines, making it a little bit simpler, I guess, or a more streamlined mechanic on like the casting or the weapons and things like that you'll have in game. I can't wait until this thing releases, and hopefully next holiday time or sometime in 2020, late 2022 or early 2023, if not sooner, possibly. It's great to hear some info on it, and now I'm looking forward to some possible gameplay, and hopefully within 6 months or so, maybe even a trailer or updated trailer here in the next couple of months or so. But the new info is great. I can't wait. I think the big problem that Xbox is going to have is just kind of like Asa was saying before, the timing of things. You have a lot of games that are going to be, I won't say no life sinkers type of thing, but I could see people easily putting 80, 100, 200 hours in some of these games, and they might come out within that time frame where it's like, I haven't even finished the 3rd chapter yet on Fable. How are you going to release this right now? But I think that's the only thing. They just got to kind of maybe figure out the timing and the spacing. Beyond that, I just can't wait to hear more about this game. It's shaping up, at least with the initial weapon stuff and combat stuff. I'm looking forward to it already.
Awesome. So I think we all share the same sentiment about this game. I think we're all on the same train. Even chat. Shout out to chat as well. Throw a couple quick hellos. O'Callahan, Gabo, welcome. Kick your feet up. Get a drink out the fridge. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. What just happened? Toolman, everybody. K Asante, my guy. What's up, brother? How you doing in the chat, Asante? Appreciate you showing up, bro. But yeah, I agree. I think we're all on a hype train as far as Avowed goes, and I just think I think so highly of Obsidian, and we've said this since the day it happened. That's a good get, and they're going to be one of them studios. We look back and be like, they were just part of that deal. Like, it's gonna look crazy, almost like an Insomniac situation, where you look back like, you got them for what? Like that little bit amount, and they're doing this. Like, I think we're gonna look at Obsidian and a lot of other first party studios that they have in their stable like that going forward. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. We're talking a little bit about Forza Horizon 5 and some early impressions. Okay, so we got some early impressions from a lot of people got hands-on early impressions. A lot of YouTubers got hands-on early impressions with the game. Lots of videos out there you can go watch on YouTube. And just the fact that this game just gets better every single time it comes out. And I just want to kind of make sure we give Playground their flowers. I know we talked a little bit about earlier for the poll of the week in Fable, but their ability to make this franchise better every single time, or just push the franchise to a different level, is almost unheard of. After this will be the fifth straight Horizon that they're pushing the envelope and doing things differently, listening to the community. The game just gets better. This game looks better than the previous Horizon. Remember when we saw 4, we thought, oh, that's about as good as it gets. This one looks even better than that. So we're gonna start with you, Asa, on just really, just the Forza Horizon 5 early impressions. And once again, we're giving Playground all the flowers here.
What can you really say? It looks phenomenal since that E3 reveal, where they about 4 times showed this photograph. Everyone saw a photograph.
We all said, this is a cool picture.
Exactly. And then a car drives in and they pulled the same stunt about 4 times within the space of 10 minutes or something. Yeah. And it was phenomenal every time. So I think if there's any criticism of Forza Horizon 5, it's that it does look gameplay-wise a lot like Forza Horizon 4 and Forza Horizon 3, which is really nitpicking, because it's going to look like those. It's a cross-gen game.
I was going to say, Asa, I was going to tear you up for that one. I'm like, really, Asa? No, but go ahead.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, I feel.
But when you see the next one, I think it will be something different. Okay. The next one will not be a cross-gen game, and then you'll say, actually, this is what these new consoles can offer to Forza Horizon. But it's amazing. It looks incredible. Mexico looks incredible in that game. The Forza Horizon games handle brilliantly. So if you're a racing game fan, you can kind of split it down between Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon. A lot of people like both, but you either lean towards the sim or you lean towards the kind of celebration that Forza Horizon is. I'm very much on the celebration side of it.
Me too. I'm right with you.
I do begrudge Microsoft for... you might not know, but I'm quite a big VR fan. I begrudge Microsoft for never adding VR to a Forza Horizon game, because if they did that, I would have a game for life. I would just play it forever. And they don't. And racing games are so good in VR, so it's such a shame that the best racing game doesn't support it. But besides that, it's Forza Horizon 5. It's Playground. We know they're going to nail it. We know that all the Game of the Year awards are going to ignore it, because for some reason they do.
It's and we're going to play it for
hours. Again. Exactly, and we're going to have a great time with it. It looks incredible. Playground know how to do these games, and the fact that it's more of the same means it's going to be more quality. I guess I really liked the Hot Wheels DLC in Forza Horizon 3, and the Lego one in 4 was pretty good. So I guess I'm also looking forward to the silly toy thing that they'll inevitably add a few months down the line.
And the events lab is interesting too. You being able to go in there
really
and create,
is, yeah.
So
go
ahead. I was just adding to what you were saying. If I hadn't thought about that as well. So, but no, listen. I mean, you said more of the same, and I know you're not saying it like, oh, it's just more of the same game, but it's more of the same amazing, essentially, from Playground. But I do agree. I do agree in a lot of points. I think it's just interesting that they've been able to like push this franchise every single year, though. Like, it gets like incrementally better. You figure, okay, they've kind of wrung the towel dry here, but every year it's like something is a little different, little adjustments, little changes. It looks better every year. It plays a little bit better. there's some new ideas like that events lab is going to breathe a lot of new life, because I think a racing game like Forza, it's carried by its community, right? Like that's how this works. Like putting those tools like the events lab in the hand of gamers, race people that love racing games, is going to extend the life of Forza Horizon 5. And this is not something that we've ever had in Forza, right, Asa? Like this is brand new for Forza. So that's going to be interesting how that changes like what Forza looks like going on in the future, because imagine the content you'll just be able to go and play someone else's create a map, right? Or create it. You can do physics and all kind of interesting things. So I think that's going to lend to the shelf life of this Forza like no other previous version has. I don't know if you'd agree with me.
Absolutely. So the previous ones, they obviously had the paintwork, the library editor, and you could see incredible things from the community just piecing shapes together. Imagine the penises we're going to get to drive around. Don't imagine too closely. Like the anime trials, I know people are going to do incredible things, because they do. When you give people a good tool set, they make stuff. And
they
that's
do things you probably didn't even intend for the game to be able to do a lot of times as well. They super creative, man. So this is one of the big things. And we're going to go throw this over to Fuzz, and I'm sure you can talk about this for like 3 days straight, Fuzz.
Yeah. I'm going to try not to fanboy out too much on this, but amazing video you did earlier in the week as far as this being like the best Forza and stuff like that, and highlighting like the Forza games are known for the cars. That's the main character, but your drivatar, or your actual avatar for the driver in the car, they're now taking it to the next level. Now it's not like a character creator like you would find in like a Fallout, let's say. That would be awesome, but hey, this is leaps and bounds ahead of what they've done in previous Forzas, where you can, put all different types of hairstyles, change the coloring, change the faces, change the clothing, and the clothing. It's kind of like they're making it more inclusive as far as that aspect, as well as prosthetics and things like that, which is, I know they do prosthetics in Halo, but you're mainly seeing your character in armor, so you're never actually seeing the character beneath the armor. Here you're able to get everything down to as close to your look or what you would want as your representation for your driver as you can make, and that's huge in a driving game. Yes, details should be on the cars and the environment, but the fact that they went that extra mile on the character detail was awesome. The early previews that a lot of the people were able to get their hands on and stuff, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier, that drip feeding kind of adding kindling to the fire type of deal. This thing is pretty much right around the corner, like less than a month away, especially if you have the premium edition. You get that 4-day early access deal. I'm definitely going to be pulling an all-nighter to try to see if I can discover all the roads at least, and try and get as many cars in the first day as I can. But I think Kay Asante nailed it when he was like, it makes you excited for the game itself, but even more excited what they'll be able to do when this is solely focused on the next generation consoles.
Yeah.
Like, this is still a cross-gen game, and they have photogrammetry that's there, like Asa was saying, that they fooled us like 4 times. Oh, this is a beautiful still shot. No, it's in engine.
Yeah,
we're getting ready to drive the car that goes flying past the screen type of deal in that same environment that we just saw standing still. So it's my excitement level is through the roof on this already. I think they've addressed some of the issues I had with the 4. Like, I'm that guy that has all but 2 cars in the game, and I have $300 million in the game, and I already have all the houses and everything else in the game. I'm only missing 2 cars. I think now the way they have the unlock system makes it a little bit more attainable for anyone else that's in the car collecting, but also you don't have to worry about, oh, well, the wheel spins or all these clothes that my character is never going to wear, as opposed to, the clothes that you can now buy at like a cosmetic shop or a clothing shop for your character. And I know, yes, what does buying houses and clothes have to do in a driving game? Think of this as an open world, almost GTA game, where the only difference between this and GTA, you don't get out the car and you don't necessarily commit any crimes other than, speeding or something along those lines. So there's so much level of detail. Yes, the AI cars are probably going to do some silly things in traffic every now and then, cut you off while you're trying to do 200 down the highway. But but for the most part, that's just the daily romp type of stuff. That's not even doing the story or the progression stuff, where they've simplified that. They've taken what they've learned from Lego and made it
I think
so
running
you have
over
like a
chickens is a
checklist that you
crime.
can
Sorry, I
keep
just gotta
track of.
Running over chickens is a crime, right, Fuzz?
Oh yeah, that. Although I know they have it where you're going to have pinatas in some of the events, so at least it's nothing living this time. You're just running over, pinatas and either candy or money, I guess, will come out type of deal. But yeah, this game, I think they've taken feedback from the community. I think they've set their own goals with each game and try to exceed those in the next game, whether it be a bigger map, more cars, more detail on the cars, better engine sounds. No one really talks about ray tracing sound. They have ray tracing sound. So now you're able to, I mean, they did a pretty good job before where and me being a big V8 fan and had at one point a um, cam overhaul on my Camaro, driving that thing in tunnels or in like overpasses and stuff like that, you definitely hear a difference in your exhaust when you're out in the open versus going through a tunnel. And now, I mean, they had a pretty good representation of that in the previous games. Now it's more on par. Like the exhaust notes that the cars make, whether you're driving under an overpass, going through a tunnel. I mean, they have canals and things like that in certain parts of the map where you'll definitely hear that reverberation and echoing and stuff like that, and the backfiring when you lift off the gas, with the burnt fuel in the exhaust. I mean, this is a car enthusiast dream, a racing game enthusiast dream. It doesn't necessarily have like official tracks, but they will have more of a circuit similar to like what they did in the Lego Land, but it's not in a Lego Land. Curious to see what the expansions are going to be. Like Asa was saying, they usually do like a like a toy branded thing and a destination thing. So it'll be cool to see what they come up with this go round. But yeah, I've probably rambled enough on this. And,
It's all good, brother.
but yeah, it's when you didn't think they could do anything better than 4, it's like hold my beer, look at 5, and then I can only imagine if our eyes are going to be prepared and ears and all of our senses are going to be prepared for when they do 6. But for right now, I'll take 5 in all of its glory. And November, was it 5th because of the 4-day early thing? Yeah, I can't wait.
Listen, and like I said before, this is really all about this whole topic is really about just giving Playground their flowers, because like I said, top tier dev, they're consistently great. Very few franchises after the 5th game. I mean, what franchise on the 5th game is getting better, right? Like that almost doesn't happen with video games. They kind of, sometimes it's a roller coaster, but there's very few franchises that are, even if it's incrementally better, it literally is getting better every single game. So that's super impressive to me, especially in this day and age of games that come out broken and busted and have all these problems, and they try and do things differently, and the fan base doesn't necessarily agree with the changes. They've been able to stay consistent and be consistently great every time. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Once again, this is a no-brainer, right, Pong? No-brainer, but we got to talk about it anyway. So just where you at with the impressions of Forza? I mean, right on line with your thought, or even exceeding that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it gets better and better. I'm glad Fuzzy brought up the sound, because I think the sound, I mean, again, outside the environments, which I think we've all seen enough, again, it's incredible. Rand talked about it on the show today too, as well, that, again, these YouTube videos, even in 4K, don't do it justice when you see it live, the compression, all that kind of stuff. He's like, it's absolutely stunning when you get down to it, when you get it in front of you. So, outside of the environments, the sound is the biggest change with the ray tracing. I think I watched another video, I think it was posted on Twitter. Somebody had a copy and they showed off the sound within the towns. and how the sound would now bounce off of the buildings as cars were coming through. He was just sitting there in his Lambo, hanging out while some of the AI drove through the town, and you could hear the echo bouncing off of the buildings. Now that kind of stuff is what gets me excited. Again, I'm a car guy too, not as big as Fuzzy, obviously, but at the end of the day, I've been around cars my entire life, owned some really nice ones, and so for me, the sound is ultra important. And while it was good, like Fuzzy said, I don't think the engines had enough differentiation between them. I think that again, when you get into different car makers, especially the high end stuff, the supercars, like exhaust is everything. And like the car makers themselves really try to stand out from each other. And you can really tell, like if you know your cars, you know the difference between, a Ferrari and a Porsche, right? You know that sound is different when it comes out. And so I can't wait to hear more of that as I get into each individual car. But, Playground is knocking it out of the park. I've said it from long ago that I think this is the first racing game, especially this year in 2021, that could push and break through the barrier and be nominated for Game of the Year. I know I know they got their own category.
Unless they're doing it like somebody else is creating their own award show. I don't know if that's even possibly or remotely possible.
I think it's possible. I
so?
really do.
Asa, are we taking bets on that one for him, Asa? Are we taking the over under? Where are we at on that?
I missed it. Sorry, that was my sleepy moment.
No, it's all good, bro.
Of course, Asa would leave when I'm talking. Why would you listen to me?
It's all good. No, so
just joking.
So go reiterate what you said, so I can go back.
I said this game, especially in 2021, and let me explain just a little bit because there's no standout game up to this point. There's a lot of great games this year, but there's no like that one that hits everybody. I think that this could be the first racer that pushes through the barrier and gets a Game of the Year nomination at the Game Awards.
So we taking over under on that, Asa.
I'll co-sign on what Pong said.
Nomination.
I don't.
I didn't say win. I said it's going to push through.
A nomination.
A nomination? I don't know. Chat. Let us know. Do you guys? I want to know right now in the chat. We're running this up. Let us know over under on maybe Fable, Forza Horizon 5 getting a Game of the Year nomination, not a win, just a nomination. Let us know what you guys think. Go ahead and continue, Pong. My bad.
Yeah, no problem. So, so that's where I'm at as far as level of what I think they're going to produce here. I think, each iteration of Horizon has scored better and better, and I think this one actually continues that trend, unless there's something that we're not seeing that's going to hold it back, or we get the Far Cry 6 effect where some reviewers just say, "Oh, it's another Horizon." That's the only way I think this one gets really held back as far as a review standpoint, a score standpoint goes. I think what Playground is showing is that they are one of the best in the business. They are one of my favorite developers right now. Just from what I've seen from them, and I can't wait. Again, we already talked about Fable to see what they do with that. But I think from the standpoint is like you talked about PTK when you introduced this topic that we didn't, we never really expected it, myself included. As great as Playground is, I just thought they were going to reskin 4 in a new place, right? I thought I didn't know how.
A lot of people thought that. I heard too, Pong. Just you're not the only one because
especially not having the new Forza tech engine, right? That we knew this was going to be cross-gen. So again, from our standpoint, it was like, look, the upgrades on the series console did a great job for 4, and it looked even better and all that kind of stuff. But once you get that I was like, how are they going to push this even further? Hey, what do? They come out and show us that they can. They show us that they can still squeeze more out of this Forza Tech engine, that they can go back, they can use all these advanced techniques, mapping the sky and the lighting and mapping out all the terrain and all that kind of stuff. And they can use this new tech that they've been developing and push it even further and bring it into the game and get unbelievable results, especially on what we've seen from PC and the series consoles, right? I don't know how much Xbox One footage we've actually seen out there in the wild, but we've seen enough to know that these guys have done themselves one better, where a lot of us didn't believe that they had a lot of room to improve on. And, like Asa said, to Asa's point about it being kind of similar. Look, these guys are perfected what they do. They're perfections. They've gone out, they've got the formula down pat. I'm never for a dev changing things just to change things. Just to say that their game's different from their last one. I'm never about that. If you've got a formula down, especially in a racing genre, an arcade style racing genre, and you're considered the best of the best, and nobody can even come close
It's
to
not
you,
even close.
yeah, I don't think you change just to change. Could there be things that could add to the experience? Yes. I've heard some shows talk about that, and there were some great ideas thrown out about things that they could possibly add to kind of change the experience a little bit. But at the end of the day, just give me what you guys do best. I'm not looking for anything more. Just like Far Cry 6, when I do eventually buy Far Cry, I'm expecting a Far Cry game because I buy them for that. And I buy Forza Horizons for that. I like the sim style racing as well. I buy Motorsport for that one. Just keep giving me more Horizon. I'm all about it. Keep pushing yourselves further where you can. The ray tracing sound, the enhanced visuals when it comes to the environment and the lighting, all of that is advancements in the game. So for me, they've done what they needed to do. They've gone out. They're going to put a final stamp on the Horizon series as far as the cross-gen goes on the old Forza tech. And I think, again, Playground, top of their game right now. No doubt about it. One of the top studios out there in the world, and they're nailing this out of the park. So I'm all for it, man.
Oh, absolutely. And great breakdown too, Pong. Always super eloquent and detailed. But yeah, I agree with you. And like I said, the one thing that you mentioned is that like if you really look at the franchise as a racer, like there's not there's a lot of creative things you can do, but I do appreciate, and I love the fact you brought this up, Pong. They're not making changes just to make them. Right, like they're not just making changes and throwing stuff in the game, just saying, okay, this is different. It's like I like that, and people, and we kind of that's a very thin line to walk, and very few games and devs are able to walk that line, because a lot of times you either fall in one way or the other. You're not doing enough.
And I didn't even mention that. I didn't even mention again, I think Fuzzy brought it up or whatever, or Ace did. The creative track mode, right? That is something different as well, right? They did throw that in there. And again, that's part of it. There was a small interview earlier this week where they actually talked about how Game Pass changed their development. And we've had all these people out there screaming Game Pass is bad for the industry, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? The Horizon that we're getting, both in 4 and now with 5 for sure, because they talked about this specifically, they've had to go back and think about how to keep people engaged longer, because they want people engaged, right? That's one of the new, main
engagement
things that they look at, stats that they look at when they're analyzing this stuff. So they've gone back and tried to figure out how they can do that. And that creative track mode was one of them, right? Because again, with I can't remember, I think it was Ace, I apologize, talked about it too. When you give a community a editor like that, we've seen it in Forge with Halo, we've seen it in other places as well. But when you give a community, guess what? We're going to be getting new content outside of official Playground content. We're going to be getting continuous new content that we can go try. So if you're not feeling it that day and you've done all you can in the world, or you're just not feeling regular racing or going to certain spots on the map or whatever, and you just want to jump into somebody else's creation and try out a bunch of new stuff, we're going to have that right there for us. And that's thanks to Game Pass, because the creators, the devs had to go and think about that stuff. What else can we do to add value here and keep people around and engage with our game? And we get stuff like that. So that is an advancement as well.
I agree 110%. Let's go and throw this over to Centurion for we switch pages here, switch lanes. So just Forza Horizon 5, Centurion, man, where are we at with this? I mean, with some of the impressions that we've gotten, a lot of people are, really excited about the game. Just kind of where you at with it as far as some of the new things we've heard.
I'm excited for the game, and a person out there who has me really pumped for the game is Fuzzy Belvedere over here. I mean, tuning into his Twitter space the other day, hearing him talk about the game.
I forgot about that. Shout out, Fuzz. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like, he got some facts straight on it. Definitely helped calm some of the fears and the misconceptions that apparently with Game Pass, you're supposed to get the full-blown package for $15 a month. That's no, you don't. You get the base game. That's what that was the big thing I loved about Fuzzy telling everybody, was like, you get the base game, but you get to be able to purchase all the DLC, which turns it into a $45 game versus like $90 to $100 game.
Yeah.
But back onto the Forza hype train over here. I'm excited. The game looks beautiful. I'm really looking forward to the new mechanics, like the sandstorm and stuff that I saw inside the trailer.
The haboob.
I haven't, huh?
The haboob.
The haboob. Yep, the
Yeah.
haboob. Arizona term for a sandstorm. Haboob. So definitely, I'm going to just say that I haven't had as much time as I want to dig into exactly what Forza is going to give us, which is why I've been really listening to people like Pong Soul, Fuzzy Belvedere, and other Forza fanatics. Even Dealer Gaming has been putting out some great stuff for Forza. And all this has me just hyped once again, which is why I'm going to just be truthful. I gave up on racing games a long time ago. And then Forza Horizon 3 came out and changed my life. So ever since Forza Horizon 3, I've been on that Forza Horizon train, and I am totally looking forward to what we're going to get. Do I care that we don't have true ray tracing? No, I don't. Do I care about all the other things that other people are trying to downplay this game about? No, I don't. This game looks amazing. From what I hear, it plays amazing. The game is going to be yet another like pole in the ground, another flag in the ground for the Forza franchise, and it's going to definitely push the franchise forward once again. And I believe everybody's going to be having a great time this November playing Forza, waiting for Halo to come out.
I agree 110%. Forza is going to be special. It looks special. Once again, the ability to just push the franchise every year, not do too much, but not feel like we're not getting enough, like they didn't do enough.
Can you believe we're just a little over 3 weeks away? I didn't mean to interrupt. But can you believe that? We've been talking about all these games coming. We're literally just a little over 3 weeks away. It's crazy.
Christmas is coming early.
Yeah.
The cork is coming out the bottle. This is just the beginning. Like we better, we all gonna have to get second and third jobs.
Buckle up.
By the way,
so many games.
There's gonna be a new game category at the Game Awards. Did you guys hear?
No.
It's the new category. Who showed up for 2021? we all know who's not getting a nomination,
and that's a great segue to the next category, to the next topic, by the way. So awesome. So the next topic, actually, we're going to be talking about the last topic of the show. We're going to be talking about who should win Game of the Year versus who actually will Game of the Year, because this is something that we have this argument about every year. Now, whether or not you actually care about Game of the Year, that's not even a point. We're here to have fun, right? So we're going to fantasy football this and just kind of, have fun with it. But I want and let us know as well, chat, what do you guys think versus the two? So we're starting with you, Asa. So we've had a ton of very solid. It's been a strange year for Game of the Year, because a lot of the Game of the Year contenders aren't necessarily large games, right? Like Death's Door, Psychonauts 2, It Takes Two. These are not large games made by large studios. So what do you think, which game should win Game of the Year versus which game do you think will actually win Game of the Year?
There's a couple of things that make it really difficult to judge. I'm going to give you an answer, but before that,
okay.
So the first one is that there are some games that a lot of people talk about as being like big candidates for Game of the Year that I haven't played. I haven't played Resident Evil Village. Loads of people talk about that. I haven't played Psychonauts 2, and I know a lot of people want to see that nominated. And obviously the games that haven't come out yet, I haven't played. And there's some big ones coming out, particularly for the Xbox at the end of the year, as we've just been talking about. The other thing that makes it difficult for me is I can't remember what year's what. I can remember yesterday. Everything before that is like some other time in my life. So it's quite difficult to like distinguish what was this year and what was last year. Like Cyberpunk's going to sweep it this year, right? So for me, and it's really difficult to know what Game of the Year actually means, like what they're looking for. I'd always like to think that games that are innovative would have a leg up over games that are polished. So you want innovation and polish. I don't think that is how they work, because innovative games don't typically win. But the game that's been my favorite of the year in terms of delivering something fresh and different is It Takes Two.
Good choice.
Which is an incredible game. I don't like platformers, but that game, with its forced co-op emphasis and the pacing of activities, like it's fun, and just as you think this might stop being fun, bang, it changes up completely and gives you something else. Fun, bang, change. Amazing game. If anyone here hasn't played it, find someone to play it with and crack on, because it's a brilliant game. I think this year it's gonna be Halo. We'll win it.
Halo,
which obviously isn't out yet. The campaign's not there. Halo's a little bit difficult because they're delivering it as 2 packages, which is a subtle thing. For us, it's Halo. It's coming out. The multiplayer and the campaign comes out on the same day, but it's being
Halo would
delivered as 2
qualify
separate
for
games.
next game of the year. It wouldn't qualify this year.
Oh, is it too late?
It's too late.
Oh, controversial. Okay. It's not going to be Forza
I
because
heard
that's a
cutoff
racing
date
game.
for the nominees was November 20th. At least that's what I read.
Okay.
Whoa. Some people are going to say Death's Door at me, and I'm going to shut that down and say, no way. Get out of my face. I like Death's Door as a game, but it's too small to be a game of the year for me. Like, we have this thing where people think that I hate Death's Door because I shut it down as a game of the year candidate. It's not that I hate Death's Door. Acid Nerve did great work. There's only 2 of them that made that game, but it's too small in scale for me to be a contender for that. It's polished, it's tidy, but it's simple.
Okay,
And
so
it's got nice music and nice sound.
By your standards, that wouldn't meet the criteria, right? That's basically
Not for me.
Okay,
Not for me,
that's
and
fair.
that's not hating on the game, but
oh, look at the chat. Asa blocked. This is ridiculous. This is Asa's list, people. This is his choice. What is wrong with you guys? All right, listen. I'm just playing, but yeah, no, and once again, I think that the first point you brought up, Asa, was the key thing, right? What the hell are they looking for game of the year anyway? Because every year it feels like it's a little different. Like in any year, like a Last of Us or God of War comes out, you can immediately assume that's going to be you know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be game of the year. But outside of like those random years, like this year, I think is more open than anything. So I'm gonna throw my pick. It's obviously Psychonauts 2. Now you haven't played this, Asa. You're doing yourself a great disservice by not playing this game. I know you're not really into platformers, but it's going to change the way you think about play. It's such an amazing cerebral. Well, I looked, Asa. I tried to find a problem with this game on purpose. I couldn't find anything I disliked about it. Not a single thing. From the character to the art style. I know that's a bit, the art style is a bit for some people. Some people dock it for that, but I think, every art style, not everything has to look like a Pixar movie. But it's still a beautiful game. Graphically, it's beautiful. The mental health undertones. It touched a lot on mental health, and people, some people missed that, but it was still a fun enough game I can hand over to a 10-year-old and let them play, and they wouldn't get wrapped up in all of the other stuff. So it's just a well done game from start to finish. I think Psychonauts 2 benefits from the expectations not being what they were, not being what it ended up being. So I think by the expectations generally far exceeding what people thought the game was going to be, I think it's going to get a big boost. And I think it was damn near unanimous. I don't know if you paid attention when the game dropped. I saw like 90% of the posts on Twitter were game of the year posts for Psychonauts.
But do you think
2,
so you love it, but do you think that it will win?
I think it's going to win. I think it should win, and I do think it will win, in my opinion, based on the nominees this year, right? This year is a little different. We don't have a God of War, The Last of Us, or a Red Dead Redemption 2 or something like that. We have Ratchet and Clank. I don't think that's gonna win. I don't think that game is as good as Psychonauts 2. I think it may get a nomination, but I don't think it's gonna win. I think Psychonauts 2 is what you look for in innovation. It pushes new boundaries. It does something. It sticks out. There's no other platformer you can play like it. So it's just. I think it just hits all. It checks all the boxes. Hits all the. However you want to say it. Essentially, it checks all the boxes for me. So, and then once again, Asa, like I said, obviously, when you get around to playing it, maybe you'll feel the same way, maybe you won't. But I think you should definitely play the game as soon as you get a chance to, bro, because it's phenomenal.
I definitely want to play it, and it's been on my list to get to, but I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year.
Okay, that's fair, bro. It's all good, bro. It's all good. So we'll see. So, Pong, it's on you, my guy.
Oh boy. Much like Asa, my play style. I'm a grazer, so these questions are always hard. This is like asking somebody for me to review a game in detail versus just give my opinion, because I don't play everything, and I certainly don't finish the way that I do. So this is always very tough for me. So what should win this year, because it qualifies, is Cyberpunk, but it's not going to. Okay. Because it does qualify. Everybody forgot about that. It does qualify for this year, but that's not going to happen. So, but that was my favorite game. Look, out of what I've played, and again, don't have a PS5, so didn't play the Ratchet and Clank, didn't do any of that kind of stuff. my favorite game this year so far has been Scarlet Nexus, which is never going to be nominated, but that's been my favorite game so far this year. I think that Psychonauts 2 will take it, for sure.
Somebody said Deathloop as well. Now, that may be more like Deathloop is great. I mean, I haven't played it. I don't have a PS5, so but I don't know. Maybe that's just recency because it's newer.
It got huge reviews, right?
It did.
Can I at least
I'll
say
speak
the
on
writing
that
is
one.
nowhere near Psychonauts 2 when it comes to Deathloop.
Right. And that's what I'm going to say. I think Psychonauts 2, when you look at the video game awards are opinions just like everything else is. But when you look at how the video games awards, how they judge games, the games they have to speak to a bigger, they have to have something that grabs the people who vote on the awards, right? It has to have something that alludes to whether it's a bigger story, a deeper story, something, right? That's why we don't see racing games in there, right? That's why we don't, even if they're worthy, we don't see those types of games nominated. So from the simple fact that it has to grab people. And I think Psychonauts 2 does have all the ingredients. Again, considering the year that we've had where there has not been that one game, right? Psychonauts 2 checks off more boxes than I think any other game does right now. And I think that's what pushes it over the top. And I think that Psychonauts 2, from the way that it did talk about, certain topics, how it addressed things, how incredibly diverse the levels were, and how great the characters were written. I think that fits the mold of a game of the year more than any other game this year. That's why I would put it there. Yes, does it have some hurdles to get over? Of course it does. But I think that, again, in this year, and this is not a weak year by any stretch of the imagination, it's just that you don't have that powerhouse game that really came through and blew everybody away. You've got a lot of different people with a lot of different opinions on this. Death's Door is very good. From what I've played of it, I can see why people consider that a game of the year, but I just don't think it has enough oomph to get it there. Whereas I think Psychonauts 2 affected enough people in different ways, in positive ways, and everybody got a little something different out of playing it. And I think that's what gives it that edge in this year. Again, most years it may be nominated, but it would never win when you got those powerhouse games. But this year, I think it has a great chance. And out of all the studios, Tim Schafer and Double Fine deserve it.
Oh, absolutely.
They absolutely deserve it. That man has been putting out, and his team has been putting out such high quality games forever that have been under the radar, that I think this would be a shining moment for them to take advantage of a year like this and have a game like Psychonauts 2, especially after they got acquired, and be able to finish the game they wanted to, get all the boss battles in there wanted to, put all the resources and time they needed to it, to cap it off with a game of the year. Man, that's a standing ovation moment for team and a gentleman in Tim Schafer to get recognized like that, for sure.
So Mav just, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Mav just threw a monkey wrench in this whole thing.
Yeah.
He brought, I forgot about Metroid Dread. And we know how Nintendo games do at these awards.
That's one of those hurdles, right?
Yeah. So I completely forgot about Metroid. It has been getting fantastic reviews as well. And it does. Oh man, I forgot about that game. Nintendo they have that extra. They get like bonus 3 points because it's Nintendo.
The only thing it doesn't have though is the gripping story. It doesn't have it doesn't have the narrative. I know everybody's loving it. Like I've said it here on this show. I think when we talked about, it's one of those rare Nintendo games that makes me kind of jealous of Switch owners right now, because I would love to go back and experience that Metroid again. I just don't think it checks off enough boxes. Now, could it do it just because it's Nintendo? Yes, of course. That bias is there. Like I said, that's one of the, even though Psychonauts 2 was across all platforms, it still has to overcome the stigma because they are now part of Xbox, and we know how that goes, especially at the Game Awards, right? So it does have to get over that hurdle, and I think Metroid Dread could sneak in there. That was a good one, Mav. Thanks for bringing it up. But I still think Psychonauts checks off more boxes.
Yeah. I agree. I just so if we're and I take the same exact position you take, Pong. If I had a chart, right, and this is obviously us individual, our
Yeah.
own standards,
Yeah.
not whoever's actually voting. But if I just had a chart and said, okay, what checks off the most boxes is absolutely Psychonauts 2. I don't see any other game that's come out within the time frame that we're talking about that's done that's checked off as many boxes on what I would deem a game of the year. But like you said, the hurdle is it's Psychonauts. They're Double Fine is now a first party Xbox studio. There's some, it's not a traditional game of the year winner, that type of game. When's the last time a platformer won game of the year? Has that even ever happened?
Been a while.
Hades.
I'm
No,
sure
Hades didn't count. Hades not a platform. I'm sorry.
Hades not a platform.
Yeah.
Roguelike.
There's a roguelike. Yeah, but I can't even think of one that's actually ever won. Maybe Mario like 20 years ago or something. I don't know. But but there was no VGAs back then. But either way, I in my opinion, I just hope it doesn't get completely left off the list. Because I think there's a possibility Psychonauts won't even make the list.
That would be
I don't.
Yeah. No. There's no way.
I mean, I don't want to put that out there. I mean, I don't know. But we'll throw this over to you, Centurion, get your opinion. And then we'll throw it to Fuzz here.
Oh, I gotta take myself off mute. Check that out.
By the way, Super Mario Galaxy.
What?
That was
wow.
Yeah, that was 64, right?
Yep, 2008. Yep.
Yeah. See, so
yeah.
So for me, when it comes to that title of game of the year, like we all talked about, boxes that get checked off. I have kind of come off that pedestal of I need a AAA game that has millions and millions and millions of dollars thrown at it with millions of hours of production value in it. Let's just be blunt. We'll bring up God of War because we know, if I'm right, God of War did take Game of the Year, correct?
Yeah.
But I thought Red Dead won that year. No, God of War won that year. Everybody was upset.
And that's where, if you want me to be absolutely honest, I felt the writing in Red Dead Redemption was way better than in God of War. The only thing I feel God of War had going for it was an established franchise that had a lot of fanfare, a really great actor in Christopher Judge playing Kratos. Also, the actor who played Atreus or whatever his name was. It was a very good story, yes. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I walked away from God of War, it was like, shelf done. I actually shed a few tears at the end of Red Dead Redemption 2, especially when you get into the story of the main character and the whole situation that they were in. That was a very beautiful story. In my opinion, when it comes to game of the year, and this is how I actually try to also live my life, if you aren't making your life better or someone else's life better, then what are you doing? Same with game of the year. Is this game pushing the industry forward, or is this just nothing more than a huge production blockbuster game that basically got a lot of hype, but is going to achieve an award for no damn reason? That brings me to Psychonauts 2. This is why I've changed my opinion. Psychonauts 2 checks off a lot of boxes for a lot of people, including me. We're talking about a very passionate game developer who wants to build games that reach people. He's not out there to make blockbuster games to make money. He's out there to make games to share artistic visions that he has. I've even referred to Tim Schafer as the Santa Claus of gaming because he is just this cheerful man that brings joy to the gaming industry in a way that not too many developers can capture, in my opinion. And he is willing to take a game to tackle things that affect everybody every single day. And that is when, like mental things that go on in people's minds. That everybody here has demons in their mind. We fight them every single day. And Tim Schafer created a game to show people how to actually have fun with fighting those inner demons. And I really feel not only did he push the industry forward in the game's development, the diversity of the characters of the game and the gameplay, but he also pushed forward that it's okay to bring things into a game that a lot of people want to say is taboo. Like, oh, we don't want to talk about people don't want to acknowledge that stuff exists, because sometimes they want to pretend that the world is all peaches and cream and gumdrops and lollipops, and it doesn't work that way. And that's with Psychonauts really checked off some boxes with me, in the fact that they really wanted people to be able to have fun with the concept of fighting your own personal issues, whatever they may be. And there's a really good story behind it. I mean, when you see the story unfold between the main character, I can never get his name right, Rasputin, Raz. When you see the story between him unfold with his family about how he's coming out of being being a psychic, and the resistance he's getting from his family due to their opinions towards psychics, it definitely brings tones of what people go through every single day that are completely different from the norm. This is why I believe Psychonauts 2 deserves to be Game of the Year, because this is a true example of what Game of the Year should represent. A game that not only pushes the industry forward in what you can deliver in a game, but also a game that tackles issues that run around in society. We're not over here just creating a game because like one of the biggest things that I actually make fun of, if you want me to be truthful, is what Sony does. They're over here shoving out Marvel games because Marvel is a fad. That's what they're chasing, a fad. That is not what Tim Schafer does. He wanted to create a product that was unique and that actually had relevance in the world. It wasn't a fad. It wasn't something that he was trying to do to basically come out as like some pop culture icon. He wanted to create a game that people can enjoy and actually kind of feel something for. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. And once again, this is all our own personal list, but I want to bring something up here really to you, Asa, kind of bring you back into the fold here. Is how much do you think narrative plays in these Game of the Years? Like, is a narrative essential to a game winning Game of the Year? Do you think it has to have a narrative attached to it?
Like I said from the off, I don't understand their criteria at all. I don't know what makes Game of the Year. The reason that I say that I don't think it will be Psychonauts 2 is nothing to do with the quality of Psychonauts 2. I just don't think it has the reach.
Got it. That's
So
a great.
I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like within these circles, like people on podcasts and things that are playing what is talked about, you might get the impression that things are very popular, but Psychonauts 2, much as you all love it, and I'm sure I will when I get to play it, I don't think it got very far outside of Game Pass, whether it deserved to or not. So I don't know if it has the reach for it. You could say the same about It Takes Two. That also didn't reach as far as it would deserve to.
But once again, there's no standout this year. There's no God of War. There's no any of that this year. There's not a single game that would overshadow. I mean, in my opinion,
it's a really difficult guess. A lot of people talk Resident Evil Village. Some people mention Returnal.
But does that really have? That doesn't even have that. It's Resident Evil. That's great, but that doesn't have that type of legs either. Like, I haven't heard much about that game since it's come out. I mean, I see the great reviews, but as far as I see what you're saying about like reach, is it just because it's Resident Evil?
Sekiro one too.
Oh, so Sekiro one?
And Sekiro did not have big reach, right? That's a From Software game.
Mm-hmm.
So that did not have big reach.
I get what Ace is saying though, because we just don't know what the hell they're looking at. We don't know what their criteria is. So
listen, just
last
the game.
year, The Last of Us Part 2 won, despite Half-Life Alyx existing.
Correct.
And Half-Life Alyx was innovative, polished, and brilliant, but it didn't have reach because it's a VR game. So
that's tough.
It's just
like I said, this is a weird year though, Asa. You got to admit that, right? So since the Video Game Awards came about in 2014, right? It's been Dragon Age Inquisition, huge, right? The Witcher 3, huge, right? Overwatch, which crazy that won, but whatever. It was popular and it is what it is. Legend of Zelda, huge. God of War, huge. But then you got Sekiro, which wasn't huge, but it was definitely a good game. A lot of people loved it, right? But it didn't have huge reach. And then you had Last of Us Part 2, like you said. So it is interesting.
What ties all of those games together?
Huh?
What's the common thread in all of those games?
They're
With the exception of
large
Overwatch story.
AAA
There's
games.
no bloody common thread. That's why this is so difficult. Like,
Oh,
who
I
knows
see.
how they're
Story-
choosing?
I would say story. I would say story.
I would throw Overwatch in your face.
Yeah, I was about to say Overwatch is the big one.
Correct. It's the one that, but most people that year was like, really, Overwatch wins Game of the Year, really.
But you got so the only issue is that we don't have any. What was the nominations that year too? Because we're just talking about Overwatch like it didn't deserve to win when we haven't even looked at who else was nominated. It might have, depending on the other nominations, it probably actually did deserve. I don't know them off the top of my head, but it
If
probably
I'm not
actually
mistaken,
deserved
I
to
think
win
that was the
year.
year Assassin's Creed Origins got snubbed.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know. Some people thought Odyssey got snubbed when I think Odyssey did get a nomination. I can't remember what year it was, but a lot of people thought that got snubbed as well. But I see what you're saying, and that's why I asked you that question, Asa, about narrative. But I guess if we don't have a point of reference as to what the actual damn judges look for, then we don't. It's really hard to. But this year, you got to admit though, it's very different. This is not a traditional like game of the year kind of year, right, Asa?
No, it's a really difficult one.
Okay.
Really
You guys
difficult
want
one.
you want to know what else?
There's massive standouts. Cool.
You want to know what else was up in 2016? So here's
What?
the list: Overwatch, Doom,
Ooh.
Inside, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4.
What?
What?
And Overwatch won.
Yes, and Overwatch 1.
What?
Well, that's such a mixed bag of games.
Right. Correct.
Jesus Christ.
I think they had a dart match. Whatever the dart hit is the one that won.
they just picked the names out of there like a raffle, right? Like Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's a mixed bag. I mean, all of those games are great. I could make an argument for just about every single one of them winning the award.
Overwatch is the weakest one out of all those.
Oh,
By far.
It was the Fortnite of its time.
Exactly.
Right.
When it came out, that thing shook shit up, man. When Fortnite hit, it shook things up for a little bit. It kind of trailed off as Fortnite got more popular, but it shook things up. That was the go-to, like not battle royale, but just that type of game. So I don't know. That's why I asked the narrative question, because it's interesting, because this year is so different. The narrative for a game like Psychonauts would be what, right? What will be the narrative for Psychonauts? That it's just innovation, right? It's so different than everything else. So it's just so hard, man. It really is this year.
Well, then we got to go with what just happened in the chat, saying Deathloop will win because it'll probably it's already died off. Like, people aren't talking about it, but when it came out, it created the most buzz. It's by one of the biggest studios, right? Outside of Metroid Dread. Arcane is well known. They've had their nominations before as well, and their awards before. So then Deathloop comes in and steals it because they just don't want to give it to Psychonauts 2 or Metroid Dread because it's Nintendo. So
yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
I just hope it gets a nomination. If they show us that, listen, I don't see Psychonauts 2, I'm losing my mind.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna lose
that would be
my
one of the
mind.
biggest snubs of all time. Yeah,
I will. Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead, Fuzz. I don't even want to think about that even happening. I hope they don't do that. Anyway, go ahead, Fuzz. I don't even want to talk
All
about.
right. So my list of nominees is pretty large, and I'll try to narrow it down as best I can. Now, I'll be upfront. I didn't get a chance to play It Takes Two. I watched a lot of people stream it, and I would say, just based on the streaming aspect that I've seen, I can see why a lot of people said it's their game of the year, why it needs to be nominated. I'm not going to disagree with that. I love watching people try to figure out the puzzles as a team and fail and figure it out and, move on to the next puzzle or the next part of it. So I can totally see It Takes Two being nominated. I would like to see it win, although I loved Psychonauts 2. It was the platformer that, for this non-platformer gamer, I haven't been a platformer gamer in 20 plus years.
Same here.
It kind of brought me back to enjoying figuring out how to get through different areas via, timing my jumps and things like that, or using some of my abilities so I don't get smacked by a fan as I'm trying to get to the next platform. The story, the visuals. Yes, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's not Pixar level." And I'll get to some games that are Pixar level in a second here, but it had so many things that I would I would think that they would have on like a checklist that it ticked all those boxes. I can see it getting the nomination. If it doesn't win, it's not the end of the world, but I totally see Psychonauts 2 getting the nomination. Me personally, I think it should get the actual award. But here's a few other games that like this was an awesome year for games just in general because you had Ratchet and Clank, and yes, I completed that game. I don't think it's a game of the year, but I can see its value in its nomination. It is, I would say, a Disney light or a Pixar light type game. There is a story. It is a short story, but it is a beautiful, well thought out platformer game. But it's not my game of the year choice. I didn't get a chance to play Returnal. I know some people consider it, some don't. I like the visuals of what I've seen from streams. I'm just not paying $70 for it, so I'm waiting until it's on sale. But I could totally see that game in some people's eyes getting a nomination. I I can't speak on my as far as from my standpoint whether it deserves a nomination or not. I see why some just from streams can say it does. Deathloop, love that game. Um, I know some people will agree and some will agree to disagree. I think it deserves a nomination. Yes, there aren't as many people talking about it right now. I think once you figure it out, it then becomes a very short story and just a matter of timing on how many different unique ways you can come to the ending, or if you get all of the endings. Um, but just the some of the innovation that, and I'm gonna say innovation, but some of the exploration that they task the player to do, like what they've done in Psychonauts. And I know it's two different studios, but the way they approach having the player kind of figure things out, either to transition to certain parts of the map or figure out certain ways to get through a situation. There's that in Deathloop as well. And I like that because I always try to take the out of the box approach on some of the games, even if it's just the most randomest thing, which will lead to the next game I think deserves a nomination, which is 12 Minutes, which prior to playing Psychonauts 2 was my game of the year. And I know a lot of people got frustrated at a certain point. I even started getting frustrated at that same point where you're waiting for a response or some sort of trigger. And I had an aha moment because, like I said, out of the box approach on playing the game, you find a knife. Well, I'm going to start stabbing stuff in the house. So I start stabbing the couch to see if, well, maybe what I'm looking for is hidden in the couch. Nope. Let me stab the painting. Maybe it's behind the painting. Maybe if I stab, this vent, maybe there's something there. Or maybe I stab this wall socket or this light switch. Oh, yeah, I died because I electrocuted myself. Yes, it's silly stuff that you shouldn't do in real life and just weird mechanics that were in the game to begin with. But then it kind of gives you an like, aha, well, maybe if I time this, I can figure this part out. So that aspect in that game, as well as just the story, because it felt like you were actively participating in like a Hitchcock type movie. That's what drew me in. Um, so I think 12 Minutes deserves a nomination. Let me see. Kana, another one where it's a Pixar movie that's extremely short. It's a Pixar short, basically. Um, I can see where some people will say that deserves a nomination. I'm not going to denounce it from getting a nomination. I feel it has some aspects of what that checklist that I envision they would have. I'm not going to give it the nod for game of the year. It wouldn't be my game of the year, but it is a nice short experience that looks visually fantastic. But if I had to narrow it down, I definitely want to give It Takes Two a try. I definitely feel that Psychonauts deserves the award. At the minimum, the nomination. I feel Deathloop deserves being in that conversation, and I feel 12 Minutes deserves being in that nomination or in that conversation as well. Death's Door, I can see how some will put it in that same category. I didn't get the same feels from it, even though yes, it's slightly different game genre, but I see the game for what it is. I enjoy it. But when you compare it to something like Hades, it didn't reach that level of it didn't capture me as well as Hades did. So that's why I wouldn't want to include, from my standpoint, Death's Door in the conversation. Me not having a Nintendo Switch and listening to a lot of those that have played, Dread or Metroid Dread, I can see how it can, give it or be held in the conversation for nomination. I do agree with Kei Asante. There are some issues that they probably should have done slightly differently, as far as like their design choices on walls and breakable things and whatnot. But like I said, me myself, I have not put hands on the game. I have not interacted with the game. All of my views of the game are either streams or basically watching or listening to other reviewers just either glow about the game or point out things that would possibly give me a bit of pause as far as either picking that up day one type of thing when I do get a Switch at some point, or if it's one of those you kind of wait for the 5-cent Nintendo sale or whatever sale if they ever go on sale. But Psychonauts 2, 12 minutes, Deathloop, and oh my god, I forgot what the other one is. Oh, and It Takes Two. Those are the four, because I think they usually just do four. Those are the four I think that should all get the nod for nomination. Psychonauts 2 to win it. Will it win it? I think it should. I mean, I think it will. I can't see Deathloop winning over it. I could see It Takes Two winning over it, and it wouldn't upset me. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do feel Psychonauts 2, they definitely created something special. And
Yeah.
with Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
It Takes Two looked like a very special game that I do want to partake in. It's just, for whatever reason, I think when it came out, there were other things out, and it's like, I just wait now until it's in the EA vault, which I think that's what I'm going to wind up doing. I hate to be that guy. It's like, oh, it's a great
Hey,
game, and then
nothing
not
wrong with
buy it.
that.
But hey, right now, it's one I definitely want to play, but I think I'm waiting until it's in the vault. But
Okay.
that's all I got. It
All
was
right.
a overloaded year. I mean, honestly, there
They
were
do
a lot of
five.
good
They do
games.
5 each year. So
They do five?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's tough. This is very different. Go ahead,
Ratchet
Fud.
and Clank, I guess, would be the fifth one, or it'd be a fight between Ratchet and Clank and possibly no. I think they put Ratchet and Clank in there because I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to give Kana the nod over Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they would put Kana over, not Kana, but Ratchet RNC over Kana for sure. If it's if Sony, any Sony game, to be honest. But okay, well, that's gonna wrap up the show. Pretty much, everyone, man. That was the last topic, but that was a great topic, man. Lots of good stuff. Always fun to talk about, man. I figured I'd throw that question in there just to get everybody talking. But that will be wrapped. That will wrap things up here, man. It's been a phenomenal show. We've had an awesome guest. I did tell him I wasn't gonna try and keep him here too long. It's been a couple hours, so I'm gonna make sure this man does get a little bit of sleep, if any. But once again, chat, you guys are amazing. You guys come and bring the energy every week. The chat was going crazy like it does. We're growing. I appreciate the love. Once again, you can join as well if you guys want to support the channel in that way, that you can become a member. Shout out to Shones, who I saw you earlier, Mod of the Year. He did become a member. Thank you. Your very first member of the Actual Shop podcast. So you do have that distinction. So I appreciate everybody for coming out watching. If you missed it, you can always, go back and watch it with the link later on. It's going to be up on Twitter. So you guys, appreciate you guys so much, but I want to make sure we get our guests in our panel here. That way you guys can all follow them and make sure you keep up and keep track of what they got going on. But Asa, first and foremost, brother, I want to say thank you for staying up. It is super early. Neil, how dare you pop in here after the show is over? I'm going to send you a stern DM later. All right. But I appreciate you, Neo. Shout out to my brother, Neo. But yeah, Asa, thank you so much, man, for staying up with us. Got the coffee ready. I know it's super early over there, man, but let everybody know where they can find you if they don't already know, brother.
Yeah, the coffee's pretty much worn off. I'm dropping off here, but yeah, no, I had a great time. So you're doing great things with this podcast, running it, keeping the conversation flowing. Everyone in this group has been good to talk to. So thanks for having me on. If you want me on again sometime, just give me a nudge and I'll see if I can arrange some more coffee. And yeah, you can find me on Twitch, on Twitter as Ace_Game on Daily. I'm obviously on the Game on Daily website all the time as well. And yeah, that's probably enough.
That's all good. Once again, all of that information is in the description. You don't even have to say anything, to be honest. I made sure I throw all of that down below so you to make it really easy on you guys. Please do me a favor. Go support Asa as well as Gaz. Shout out to Gaz as well for Game on Daily. They put on a phenomenal show. They have a phenomenal website. Everything they do is extremely high quality, and you will not walk away with a bad experience. I promise you. So if you're a fan of us, please do me a favor. Go check them out. Go support them. So thank you as well once again, Asa, hanging out with us, brother. I'm glad you had a great time, man. We will definitely love to have you on the show again. You're family now, bro. So thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out to hang with us, man. Thank you. So to my three compadres here, Mr. Pong Harvey, man, love you, bro. Every week, man, bringing the energy. You help pull me through this show sometimes, man. Just pull me. I get excited about it, man. Excited about talking to you and the other fellas. But where can they find you at, man?
Look, the coup is still on. Don't think your nice words.
Hey, look.
Okay, look.
Look, I ain't forgot about the fade after the show. Me, you don't catch that one-on-one after the show.
Am I gonna be written up, sir? Is that what
no, you're gonna receive a stern email as well.
Okay.
Right?
Actually, you're gonna stop getting that bowl of green M&Ms in the green.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, there we go.
Fine. Fine. Look, no, it's been fantastic. Asa, thank you so much for being here with us tonight, man. Even though it is early there in the morning, appreciate you. Love your thoughts, brother. You always bring something different. And again, I love the perspectives. And yes, everybody go check out Game on Daily. He and Gaz just do a phenomenal job, and they are so underappreciated.
Funny as hell.
Yes. I can't always catch you guys live, but I always make sure to watch and see. You guys just have great guests on every week, and both of you just, again, yin and yang. It's so well balanced between you two. I love what you guys are doing over there, and your website is phenomenal. So please, everybody, go check out Game on Daily for sure. But great to have you here. Thank you. Otherwise, brothers, always a great time. Obviously, Saturday nights would not be the same without you all. So thank you. Thank you for what you guys bring to the show and bring to my Saturday nights. Absolutely love being here. 100%. So chat, guys, ridiculous. Great discussions in there tonight. Great to see so many awesome gamers from the community show up in here. K Mega, K Asante, obviously Fun Speculation, Mav, my brother from another's in here, Steel Range up. Look, all you guys are just great. Everybody who shows up week in, week out, love you all. Nothing but respect for supporting us. And you guys can find me, Pong Soul, everywhere. You know the drill by now. Obviously, the week starts out on Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast, Mr. Boomstick, Double Barrel Gaming, Zemi Games. Mav is now a part of that show. We got 3-Bit coming back as well. We got Archimedes added to the group. So that is just one Hall of Fame panel over there on Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then look, normally you get kind of a break from me, but guess what? I know what you all were thinking. Haven't heard me talk enough, right? I just don't talk enough. So what I went out and did, my brother Mav hit me up in the DMs, and guess what? We added another show for the week. So guess what? You get another day with me. So on Thursday nights, that's right, Thursday nights, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Brand new show starting this next week. So come check us out. Mav and I are going to kick it, talk about the golden age of gaming, all good things happening. It's going to be a fun show. We had such a great time on Acquisition Thursday when that whole big thing popped off that he decided he wanted to make it a full-time thing. So we're going to do Thursday nights, PM in the PM. Come check us out. Fun Speculations channel. It's going to be fun, man. So he and I can talk as well, so we should have a great time over there. And then Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate, also on Fun Speculations channel with the Magnificent Seven. We got few people on break. Shout out to Lupa. She is getting healthy, for anybody wondering. We have heard from her. We might get her back this week. She is resting and recovering, so hopefully that happens. She is a huge part of this community and obviously a part of our family over there on Xbox Ultimate. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time every Friday night. Saturday mornings, Steel Rain and I, another 3-hour show today. We tried to get everybody out of there for DC fandom, and we did our best. We ran over by, I think, about 5-10 minutes, but guess what? We had another awesome show. So Living Split Screen, my brother from another, Steel Rain and I, kicking it every Saturday morning. We wake you up. So come check us out. Living Split Screen, all one word. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. And then obviously I'll see you all back here on next Saturday night. Again, it's the golden age of gaming. Go enjoy all of this crazy stuff that we are getting, no matter what you play on. Play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, man. And if you don't know, and if you can't write all of that down as he was saying it, just go to his Twitter, okay, and follow that.
Me out on Twitter.
Exactly.
Know
and
where
you'll
to
be able
find
to
it.
keep up with all of it. So shout out to you, Pong, always bringing the energy, man. I don't know how you do it every week, bro. I admire you for being able to do it every week, but that's just the passion that you bring, and that's why I wanted you here on this show, brother. So I appreciate you every single week, brother. Thank you so much for always being here, being consistent, man. So let's throw this over to you, Centurion, my other brother. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us once again on this fine Saturday night with my second family here on the Shop Podcast. Thank you to Asa, our guest here. It was really nice to meet you. I always love meeting people from across the world. It's always great to get different opinions, all from every walks of life. For those interested in finding me, please find me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and of course, Twitter. You can also find me here every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast, and you can also find me every Sunday night over on the TXR Podcast.
Yeah, shout out to TXR Invader. He was in here as well. So shout out to him, everybody over there at TXR, man. So thank you, Centurion, always being here every single week, bro. Add so much to the show. And last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. Miss cooking things up, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at. Now you got a couple destinations now.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Asa, I'm sorry we kept you up so late, but thank you so much for joining us. It was great to hear your take on things. You know, as far as the outlook on upcoming games and just in general on some of the most recent gaming news. Awesome to have you on here. To my brothers in arms, thank you, PTK, for having me on here. Pong for being here, and Centurion, thank you for joining us tonight. And man, the chat was awesome. Gladly appreciate you guys checking us out tonight. For those that are interested in my thoughts and opinions on games and such, you can find me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP Podcast. That's Fun Speculation Podcast at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel, where you'll find Mav, Key, and Phasma, as well as all of the, I guess you'd say like multi-platform game news and things along those lines. And then as always, you can find me here 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Shop Podcast. Looking forward to being here next week. It's always awesome to be on here with my family and my gaming brother. And so just thank you so much for having me on.
Appreciate you, man. And last but not least, your boy PTK Blam here, across the board on Twitter, Xbox Live. Find me. Once again, all of that information down in the description below. I appreciate you guys so much. DMs are always open for ideas, always looking for new ways to freshen up the show. So let me know. Twitter, let me know as well. I appreciate you guys. So same time, same place next week. Awesome brand new guest as well. So you guys got another one to look forward to. Appreciate you guys for the support. The channel has been growing like crazy. So let's keep up the good energy, man. I'm glad you guys are liking some of the things we're doing. I'm going to try and keep the other videos going as well, the tier list Tuesdays and some of the other things I've been doing more recently this last month or so. And you guys seem to be enjoying that. But man, once again, don't want to keep you guys for too long. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We are out of here, everybody. Peace out.